Hi, my name's Ken Dunn. Thank you for coming back to the show. I'm excited to be in the studio today with Jackie Woodside. Jackie, it's a pleasure to be here with you.
Thanks.
We've had some time over the last couple days to get together and talk about this book.
Yeah.
And I'm excited about it.
Thank
and
you.
I think for the sake of our viewers, it'd be great for you to start out just by telling us a little bit about this book and where did you get the inspiration to write it?
Oh, gosh. Well, you know, it's one of these things that they say what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, right?
Yeah.
So I once had a landlord that told me the only reason that I paid rent was so that my cat had a place to live. So, you know, I was definitely one of those rat race people. You know, you and I are similar. A lot of energy. It's a big world out there. A lot of excitement. There's so many. But, you know, when I say to my coaching clients, too much of anything is not a good thing.
Right.
Right? Because then you end up in overwhelm. You end up just not feeling the flow and not feeling the ease that you want to feel in life. So really what brought me the inspiration for this book was, you know, I was either going to kill myself because I was just, you know, going, living on adrenaline. Like, I mean, literally, I was actually seeing an acupuncturist for a tendonitis issue with the racquetball and the sports. And he said, I can make this better, but your issue isn't this.
Uh-oh.
It's your life force energy is really frighteningly low.
Wow.
I was like, wow. He said, and in fact, if you don't start managing yourself in a different way, you're going to die young. Can you believe he said that to me?
Okay, so whereabouts in life were you at that time?
I was late 20s to early 30s.
Oh, that's a big OMG.
That's a big, that got my attention. That got my attention, right? So what's the inspiration for my book? Well, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Right.
So that got my attention.
Got it.
So I was like, okay, but I didn't want to give up my passion for life and my excitement and my enthusiasm. It is a big world out there, and I want to be a part of a lot of things. So I started understanding this thing about, rather than, you know, trying to do it all and manage it all, trying to learn about, you know, actually about energy, about how you can be well by feeding your energy and how you can be not well by draining off and trying to do too much of it. So I just started really understanding this whole thing about understanding my energy and working with energy and then making that just crazy practical for people. So it's not just this thing where you have to go off and learn about managing your energy and then go off and you know, be quiet or be still. But how do you be actively engaged in life, the fullness of life, and still have that sense of, you know, inner calm, that inner reservoir? So that's really what got me interested in this. Is somebody told me I was going to die at a very young age, and I still wanted to have a big life. So I had to learn these strategies and this way of thinking and this way of acting so that I could still, you know, really do a lot and experience a lot and enjoy life.
Right.
But still feed and nurture my body, my mind, and my soul.
So there's still a big gap between then and now, because now today you're already an experienced professional coach and speaker. You're extremely busy with, if not 100, close to 100 events already booked in the coming future.
Never busy, always productive.
Very good, well said.
Never busy, always productive.
Tell me about the next phase.
Yeah.
What, you know, so you had this, oh my God moment.
Yeah, right.
Where at 20, for gosh sakes, you must have been
late
a wreck.
20s. Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, I was a train wreck, right? Waiting to happen.
But now I've seen some of your press rolls. You're fantastic, and you've helped thousands of people come back to you. Thousands of people you've helped get through these situations. When did you decide to stop being the victim or the one that's going to die young and turn into this helper?
Yeah. You know, my whole career has really been about empowering and supporting and loving other people. Before going into being a speaker and a trainer and a coach, I was a full-time psychotherapist for 20 years.
There you go.
So I really got people. I was well-trained in many ways. And then I got really well-trained as a coach in some really awesome programs. And you put the two of those together and you understand kind of the backstory of people's psychology, which is important to understand, but it's not the whole story, you know, which is what moved me away from it, really. I love the whole field of psychology, but it only will take you so far in life. So then you blend into that, it's the field of ontology, which is a lot of what the coaching world comes from. Ontology is, you know, who are you being in life? So therapy is like, oh man, I have all these issues or all these upsets, and why am I that way? Ontology says, I am this way. What am I going to do about it? Right? So I love that. I am this way. What am I going to do about it? And that, putting the two of those together, not being limited by your psychology, being defined by who you say you are, and then going out and creating that. So a lot of people tell me I'm a product of my product. How do I do all that I'm able to do? My son and playing sports and managing my house, and I have 2 homes and being married, and I have a great, really big life, and I love all of that. How I'm able to do all of it and how I made the shift was really bringing in all of these different facets of human development and accelerating myself by these various paradigms, not limiting myself to one, because that would have only taken me so far. I didn't want to stay stuck in, oh, this happened to me. I want to be like, okay, so this happened to me, now what? Who am I, and how am I going to keep inventing myself? So it goes really deep into life purpose and what are your values and what are you really here to express? And it goes broad with, how are you managing your finances? How are you managing your relationships? How are you managing yourself in time, right? Everyone I talk to, you say, hey, how you doing? Everybody's, I'm so busy. I'm so busy. I'm so busy. Everybody says this, I'm so busy. It's not even interesting any longer, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And I think people get very caught up in that. And then there's the psychological benefit of, I'm so busy, because if you're not busy, it's like, what are you? Loser.
Yeah.
Right? So there's
almost implied.
It's implied. There's this whole cultural paradigm that people just get so fed by being busy. So I say okay, it's fine that you're busy, but what are you busy about? Now, Hiram Smith, he's a great author. He started the Franklin Covey system. He wrote a book called The 10 Natural Laws of Time and Stress Management.
Fantastic book.
One of the things he says is that one of the primary causes of stress in our world is people being actively engaged in things that have very little meaning for them. So that's really the hook, if you will.
Wow, well
the
said.
remedy is, you're in the rat race. Doesn't mean you have to be running around crazy. I corrected you earlier and you said I'm very busy. It's one of my primary teachings. Get out of that mindset of I'm so busy, I'm so busy. I don't care that you're busy, it's not interesting. What are you busy about? And that's what I call productive. Clearly and consistently moving forward on that which is important to you. Because somebody's always going to keep you busy.
Right.
Your kids are going to keep you busy. Your spouse will keep you busy. Your boss is going to keep you busy. Your community. You're always going to find things to be busy about. But that's not, what are you busy with? Are you busy? Are you engaged, actively engaged? There's this cultural paradigm that you have to recognize that everybody, and we plug into it like it gives me my sense of self-esteem, my sense of meaning, my sense of purpose, but is it meaningful to you? So one is the cultural paradigm.
Right.
And the other is, and then I just say to people, how's that going for you?
Right.
Right? Because I don't know anybody that ends that sentence with oh, I'm so busy and I'm so happy about it.
Exactly.
Somehow that I'm busy thing has turned into a national epidemic of complaint.
It opens the door for a lot more.
Doesn't it? Right? So it's great that you're busy, but are you busy about things that are meaningful to you?
Right.
So one of the other piece of this program is understanding that our technology has advanced beyond our neurology.
Right.
We got to get caught up with how much the technology is changing. We're evolving as human beings, just as you said. I love that.
Okay, stop. That's a tweetable moment.
All right,
you got to
good.
say that again?
Yeah. So sure. So our technology has far advanced our neurology.
That's strong.
Or our neurology is behind technology, however way you want to look at it.
Of course.
But technology is out here, and things are so fast, and all around. You get news from all around the world in seconds. I mean, that's just mind-blowing, right? The way that happens, and it's exciting, but our neurology doesn't process that quickly. So everybody is walking around on, if you will, neurological overload. There's more coming at us than we can process and hold in our mind.
Exactly.
So everybody's mind is overwhelmed and too full, and then and of course nobody talks about this, so everybody walks around, what's wrong with me? There's got to be something wrong with me. They look okay. They seem to have it all together. What's wrong with me? But everybody has that going on, right? So there's nothing wrong with you. What's challenging is that we're living in such an exciting evolutionary time that we have to train ourselves in new and different ways so that we help our neurology get caught up with our technology, and then we have this experience of having an organized mind so that you can have an organized life.
Wow.
If you don't have an organized mind, your life is going to reflect that. So I teach people how to organize your thinking so that you can organize your living, and your whole experience of life becomes quieter. Like my head is just quiet.
So throughout our conversation, you've been talking about the fact that you're teaching this stuff, you're doing this stuff. Am I to assume that you've managed to pack all of this into a book?
Yeah. Isn't that great?
It's fascinating to me.
Isn't that great?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I do say about my work, it's not for the faint of heart. You know, you kind of want to be, it's a radically different paradigm.
Right.
It really is. And when, you know, it's fun being in front of the room, and when I first kind of get into it with people, first part of it, when they get the paradigm, and yeah, we've been sold this bag of goods. No, I don't like it. It's not going so well for me. Everybody's like right there with me.
Uh-huh.
And then I teach the shifts that need to occur. And it's like, you can just see the room going like, oh, right? Because the thing is, you know, nothing will change out here until you change over here. So you've got to address, in these two levels that I teach you, you've got to address your consciousness, your thoughts, your attitude, your belief, your way of seeing it, and you've got to address your skill set. You address one without the other, you're going to fall back into the old way of being.
That's exactly right.
Just change your skills, but don't change your thinking. You'll be a little more effective, but you'll fall back into feeling overwhelmed, buying into the rat race mindset. You know, you'll fall back into that. But if you just change your thinking, but don't increase your skill set, you know, you might walk around like feeling happy for a while because you're thinking higher thoughts, more affirmative thoughts. But if you don't develop those skills, you will fall back because you'll get overwhelmed.
So one of the questions I love to talk to authors like you about is the single takeaway from your book. All of the great books that I've read, and there's been hundreds and hundreds of them, can all be remembered in my mind for one thing. The very first book I ever read was a book when I was a young boy called The Wealthy Barber by David Chilton. Of course, besides the Bible. And, and what I remember for that book is 10%, save 10%. And I've remembered that 30 years later. What are people going to remember about your book in 30 years?
You know, my hope is that what people would take away from it is this really, to me, radical notion that you cannot just change what you do or what you think, how you see the world, how you interact with the world. You've got to live your life at the intersection of high skill ability, high self-mastery. You put the two of those together, mastering my thoughts, my attitudes, my beliefs. So when I recognize that I'm thinking, oh man, this is just so hard, this is a hassle, I recognize that thought, I bring that awareness in, and I make a conscious choice. Is this how I want to experience myself? Is this the energy I want to be putting out in the world? No. This is like, so how do I want to be? How do you want to experience this? Hey, I've got all the time in the world for that which is mine to do. I say that all the time. People say, oh, Jackie, I know you're so busy. I'm never busy.
Wow.
Yeah. So but you can't just do that. You've got to have this impeccable sense of self-mastery and understanding yourself, bringing awareness and changing your thought and your energy. At the same time, developing really impeccable skills with managing yourself in relation to time and your commitments and your values, organizing your life in relation to who you've come here to be.
So are you daring enough to actually tell me that this book can help anybody with anything? Are we going down that road? Is that big of a book?
Anybody with anything? No, absolutely not. It's not going to help an alcoholic get sober. It's not going to help a heroin addict put down the needle. It's not going to help somebody who's got no passion in life. Well, I don't know, it might. They might get a little passion from it.
Right. If it's anything to do with your energy.
Yeah, right. So they might get a little passion from it. But you know what I'm saying? If it's somebody who's just like really committed I'm sitting this one out. I'm just not going to engage in this life. I'm just going to sit this one out, and they're going down that road of addiction or some other thing. Probably not going to help. But if you're somebody who's like, man, you know, life is precious. I want to feel all of it. I want to experience all of it, and I want to give back because I've been given so much. You know, I want to give back.
Right.
Somebody like that, and they feel that like, oh my God, yeah, it's so hard. I want to do all that, but it's so hard. That's my sweet spot. You know, get this book in your hands. Not just get the book in your hands, because that's the other thing I say. It's not a book, it's a lifestyle.
Very good.
Get the book in your hands, make it your lifestyle, and you'll be just singing and happy.
Jackie, thanks for being here with us today.
I've had a great time.
Well, that's Jackie Woodside, and it's going to be in bookstores near you, if not already in the near future. Make sure you get a copy of it and get yourself out of the rat race.